So on clicking that, it will take us to this page. As you can see, it's asking us for database name, it's asking us for database username, and it's asking us for password and the host. Okay, so don't forget that we created a database earlier on. Do not forget the name because we need it along the line. And then we're going to create a username, and we're going to create a password. So if you have all that at hand, you can now proceed on the installation. So now we're going to move our cursor down to the let's go button, and then we click on it. So this is it. We click on let's go. Okay, so you can see it's asking for database name, it's asking for database username. The database name is the name of the database you created earlier on. The username, we're going to use root as our username, and then the password, we're going to leave the field empty. The database localhost is going to be localhost because we are using a local server. But if you subscribe to host companies like Bluehost, Hugohost, Domain King, and several of them, they will provide you with a URL to use as your database host. But for now, since we're using XAMPP, which is a local server, our database host is localhost. So the preface there, the table preface there, is what you're gonna use if you're running installation in a single database. So you're going to leave it at default. You're not going to make any changes here. But in a case where you want to run multiple WordPress installation in a single database, like the one database that we created, then you have to change this. But if not, you just leave it at default. But why would you even want to run multiple WordPress using just one database? I mean, you can create as many databases as you want. It's limitless. So you leave it this at default. So let's fill the field. Our database name is text study, and then our username, like I said earlier, we're going to use root, and then the password, I said we're going to leave the space blank, no password. Okay, and then the localhost, we're going to leave it as default, and also the table prefix, we're going to use leave it as default. It means that when this installation creates table automatically in our database, all tables are going to have the prefix WP. If there is a table called content, it's going to be WP content. If there is a table called class, it's going to be WP class. So it's just a prefix to identify the table that belongs to a particular database. All right. So having filled filled the required fields, we're going to click on the submit button here. Then you click on submit button to take you to the next stage. So, alright Sparky, you have made it through this part of the installation. WordPress can now communicate with your database. If you're ready, time now to run the installation. So you can see that successfully we've been able to communicate with our database, and that's because we entered the right database name. But if you write a wrong database that do not exist, then you're going to have a problem with your installation, because a database is just like a shelf that holds your files. You know, you have textbooks, you have inspirational books, you have motivational books, and then you just keep them in shelves. You're like, okay, this part is for inspirational, this part is for motivational, these parts are for, you know, are for photo albums, and the rest you have them all arranged in a shelf. So that is just like an analogy to what a database is. A database holds your files, okay, so that when you want to retrieve them, you can easily retrieve them. So since your WordPress has lots of files in it, you need to create a shell for it to store those files. And that was why we created database initially. But when you write a wrong database during your installation, it's now, I know, make WordPress to be searching for the database, and when it's not in existence, automatically you cannot run your installation because it definitely needs a place to store the files in it before the installation can be completed. So you make sure that the database name you created corresponds with the database name you're going to enter when it requires you to enter your database name. So then we're going to run installation now because we successfully communicated with our database. So you come here and then you run your installation. You run installation. Okay. So this is it. Now it's going to ask you for site title. Okay. It's going to ask you for site title. The site title is the title you want to give your site, so you can give it any name of your choice. The username is the name you want to use to log into your dashboard, and the password is the password that is unique to you. So you have to choose a very strong password so that another person don't have access to your website or have the administrator privilege that you have. So you can on your own decide to assign roles to other users that you might want to access your site, but for this you are the administrator, so you have to set a password that's that is strong enough and that you can remember. So you must take note of the parts remember, because you have to remember your password. You can't just choose any password because you want a strong password and then you just choose a password that you can't remember. So you have to choose a password that you can remember. So your email address has to be an active one. You enter your email address. In the search engine visibility, you just leave it at default. You don't need to check here because every website at least would want Google to index their site. So let's fill the fields now. Title, let's say tech study website. Then the username, we're just going to leave it as tech. The password, I'm going to choose the one that we can remember. Let's just be a medium password for now. Yeah, tech at 2019. So let's just be a medium password for now, not a strong one. But by the time I start adding special characters, it becomes a strong one. But it's very easy to forget. So I'm going to just use, for the purpose of this tutorial, use a medium password. So the email, we'll go to the email down here, and then we're going to enter a valid email. Okay. And then having done that, we'll move our cursor down to the install WordPress button to install our WordPress. Okay, so success, WordPress has been installed. Thank you and enjoy. So let's try to log in so that you can have a view of what the dashboard looks like, because that's going to be our next topic. So let's click on login. Take us to the login page. So this is the login page. So remember the username you used during the installation, it was tech. So the username here is correct. So here you enter the username, whatever username you used during your installation. And here you're going to enter whatever password you used during the installation, which is tech at 2019. You can choose to remember or not to remember. When you check here, it means that whenever you want to log in, you don't need to be writing your password over and over again. So it's at your own risk. You either want to remember or you don't want to remember. If I have access to my system alone and I know that nobody have access to my system, I can just say remember me, so that it will save me the stress of entering my password over and over again. But if you know that you do not want people to have access to your website, and you know that your website, your system is not for you alone, if you click on remember me, it means that anybody can log into it, because they don't need to crack their head over your password. Once they enter your username, that is all, and the system brings out the password for them and they easily log in. So it's your choice. Either you want to be remembered or not to be remembered. So we're going to move our cursor now to the login button to log us to the dashboard here, and then you click on login. Okay, this will log us to the WordPress dashboard. So you can see this is the WordPress dashboard. So that is all for WordPress installation. I hope that you will, try your hands on what we've done so far and try to install WordPress on your own and see how it is. It's a simple step anyway, so you can just try your hands on it. So okay, then let's meet again in our next video. To have a wonderful time. Bye bye.